All right, welcome back. It's now time for us to talk politics. It's 7 minutes past 7 a.m. on this beautiful Monday morning, 24th day of March 2025. My name is Victor Olo. So let's get on the road as well. My guests have said that I should be a good driver until the end of the show. Fine. I take the responsibility. I am a competent driver, for that matter. Omar, good morning.
Good morning, Victor.
Good to see you.
Thank you, my brother.
I saw someone like you at the WRC. Was that you or doing some spectating?
Not really.
Or you have a look-alike?
Most probably.
Why are you denying? Not really.
Because actually I'm a favorite of football.
So you're at Nyayo Stadium.
So I was at Nyayo Stadium.
Yeah, we went down fighting.
Exactly. But I think we'll actually fight for another day, but the boys played well.
Yes.
And I give all the accolades and recognition, more especially to the new coach for the energy that he has pumped into the national team. So most probably I think that we need to give him time so that he turns around this noble game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wairimu Gatacha is an advocate of the High Court. She's also in here in studio. Good morning, Wairimu.
Good morning, Olo.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Were you at the WRC or Nyayo or none?
I can actually confirm I was at none of the two. Yes.
So where do you pass your allegiance or your patriotism?
I think I could have been found somewhere in church.
Ama ulikuwa mpenzi mtazamaji kwa umbali?
Mpenzi mtazamaji
Okay.
baada ya kanisa.
Yes.
But I supported the national team at the football. And I'm happy that they tried.
Karibu sana.
And thank you so much for having us here.
Asante. Dr. Bishop Sami Gitari is also a governance expert. I don't know whether I should ask you, but you can also remind us, you know, way back in the day, the likes of Patrick Njiru, Sameta, Sakameta, and all that, way back when the sport was sport, right?
Yeah. I don't think it was sport more than it is today. Just that we had a few people, very aggressive, very popular.
Yes.
So we always went out to see them and enjoy them. Yeah, but it was good.
That was your time?
That was our time. Giro was our favorite, Shekameta, and yeah.
Yes. Okay. We'll be talking about that later on, but how about we take a look at what's happening in the political segment. My guests are in studio. We're still expecting Francis Mongangi, who is the Deputy Governor of Machakos County, to join us shortly. But how about we check the show on the road? All right, so starting with the front page of the local dailies. On the front page of the Daily Nation, auctioneers target courier. That is also the front page of the Daily Nation. Auctioneers target courier. That is Moses Courier, so to speak. It says that politician has denied ownership of a UAE-registered firm making big moves in the public and private sectors. So is it a case of going broke? Save for court order or payment of an undisclosed debt. The auctioneer's hammer will land on 2 residential buildings owned by former Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Courier. Anyone wishing to wrestle the 2 properties off the hands of the vocal politician, who is one of the president's economic advisors, will have to pay a refundable amount of 3 million shillings bidding deposit to the auctioneer and then square it out with other potential buyers on April 8th. That is what's on the front page of the Daily Nation. Still on the front page, Harambee Stars go down fighting in match against Gabon. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who was, yes, Arsenal played. I said that. Arsenal scored against Kenya. Aubameyang was Arsenal player. On a light note. And again, huge cost of 7 extra PSs revealed. The new created positions of the PSs, now Nation can reveal what is going to be their package. Pope Francis leave hospital. Yes, the pontiff, who is now 88 years old, had been admitted for 5 weeks following a bout of pneumonia. And now that is what's happening on the front page. And finally, what is current, and I think many Kenyans have been waiting for close to 2 years, interviews to pick new IEBC officials begin amid questions over suitability of some candidates. I want us to take a look at that and many more. Of course, let me start with you, Wakili, now that you're the lady in the middle, and for the sake of affirmative action, gentlemen, We all agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Let's not be. But then she's our Wakili, so we can stand a very bad chance of answering so many questions that we don't want. Wakili, so here we are, 2 years later, and the selection panel will start sitting at 8:30. That will be live and will be open to the public. Allow me to ask you, what is your expectation? We have 11 candidates. Some of them are ladies. What should we expect moving forward, starting today?
First of all, thank you for acknowledging the presence of a lady and the balance that ought to be.
Yeah.
I am very, very happy that now we are actually discussing empanelling the IEBC. This has been something that we have been expecting and we have been pushing for.
Yeah.
When it comes to the fight for democracy, we have been targeting, we've actually been making our voices heard on the question of empanelling the IEBC. I'm happy to see that we have ladies, females, and very competent women.
3 of them, to be precise.
Yes, very, very competent women who I hope that their qualifications will be well looked at and that they will actually be considered for that very noble opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. what do you think? Kenya, we've not had IEBC for a very long time, and of course somebody would say that is unconstitutional, so to speak.
It is, but that is Kenya, where political interest sometimes controls beyond what is the correct things. And it seems like political interest has been pushing and pulling, dragging us along for so long. But the beautiful thing is, we are here, it is unlocked. Now we can have every reason to expect that solution behind us.
Yeah. Okay. So that is be Thomas. Nelson Makanda selection panel, of course, have its work cut out. These ought to have been happening. I mean, let them get your opening remarks with us as that is concerned.
I think this comes at a time when constituencies like Banisa have gone for years without a representation in Parliament. And you know, representation is a constitutional issue, is a constitutional mandate. So I believe that let the panel take up this noble course and give us competent characters to lead this body going forward. Because I believe that it's not okay, or it's not right, as I can put it, to be without elected representatives. So I believe this team is up to the task. Let political patronage not take center stage when coming up with this team. Because, you know, if we put in place people with questionable character, then most probably this country will be plunged into chaos and anarchy. So I pray that let's have competent people to lead this body going forward, because this, you know, is a constitutional issue that must be keenly looked into. Victor. Okay.
Karibu sana. The Deputy Governor has joined us in studio. Mheshimiwa, good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
First question, how are neighbors doing?
Just struggling like another
No, for us we're okay. We're not struggling. Doctor is
you are lucky.
Doctor is okay.
He's lucky.
Wakili, she's doing very fine. Even Thomas next to you. Why are you struggling?
No, not at personal level. You know, I'm answering from county level and the devolution,
right?
Especially under this regime.
Yes.
Yes. When you hear the sentiments from them and the people who the other day were for devolution,
yes,
and you hear now what they are saying. A challenge.
It's a challenge.
Yes.
You'll tell us, over the weekend, the county bosses said that there's a lot of money being held by the national government. And there is an ultimatum by the counties that should that money not be released, then a lot of things are going to be paralyzed in the counties. Would you confirm that as well?
That is true.
Okay. We'll talk about that shortly. Karibu to the program.
Asante.
Let's start from, let's go to the next page of, front page of the Star newspaper. Ghost workers gobble billions of shillings. That's the front page of the Star newspaper. Ghost workers gobble billions of shillings. About 17,000 are still on national government's payroll. You can take a look at that story. And still on the front page, which is quite conspicuous, is Harambee Stars yesterday. Kenyans flocked at the Nyayo National Stadium to support the national team. That is engineer Michael Olunga, who scored the single goal that gave Kenya the 2-1. Of course, it was a very narrow loss to Gabon, but that is the nature of sports. Inside CS Muturi's radical bill set to bring reforms in Kenya public service, and get to take a look at that stuff as well. There is another story here on the front page of the Standard. The Standard says, "Don't trust Raila." That's on the front page of the Standard. Don't trust Raila. The two gentlemen, that is President William Ruto and Honorable Raila Odinga, are the two gentlemen on the front page of the Standard. Why is Standard writing that? After a court ruled that Azimio was the majority party in parliament, ODM began pushing for the leader of majority seat, but a warning from the National Intelligence Service stated that granting this position could empower the opposition party to pursue the president's impeachment. As a result, President William Ruto strategically backed down and opted to offer other key committee positions rather instead. So that's what's on the front page of the Standard. IEBC chair interviews kick off today, and of course there's that story of Pope coming out after 5 weeks. Let me come back to you, DG. So we have the Parliament and the IEBC starting their debates today, their interviews today. It's been long coming for that position to be filled.
True. But now, since we are where we are, I think the best is to focus on the future.
Yes.
And to try to answer your earlier question on what we expect. I wish everyone in the public sector could maybe put the country first. I think we will go somewhere. And that includes those who will be interviewed, those who will be interviewing them. We come up with credible people,
yes,
and professionals who will take us where we want to go. Yes.
Do you have any constituency in your county that is lacking representation in Machakos?
We have a ward.
Yes.
A ward, yes. We have a ward in Machakos town constituency that for almost 2 years has gone without a representation, which I think is uncalled for. We should not allow that to happen.
Yeah.
Even the people who resigned to join what the people in my village call bread and blood-based government. They needed not to have rushed to just get in and leave the people without representation.
Yeah.
That is not natural atrocity. We are not lacking professionals to be appointed or qualified people. So, in my view, I think we, as a country, we should never, ever, at any given time, allow any particular, whether it is at country level, at national level, or at ward level, allow that kind of vacuum. It's not good for our democracy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Thomas, when you look at how we've gone without a substantive IEBC fully constituted as it is, we've had so many things missing. For example, that word, Banisa, as politically put it, Banisa has had no representation for close to 10 years after the member of parliament died in a road accident. So now, what now happens after this? Because it seems the commission has a lot of work to do moving forward.
I think, as I said, representation is that's something that is within our constitutional sanctum, and quite a good number of people lack representation because of one or two reasons, including but not limited to what you've told us. That is the death of Paniza Member of Parliament in Isli the other day. So I really think the Commission has quite a great task ahead to be constituted in the first place, and to carry out its constitutional mandate. Again, as the DG has mentioned, there are quite a good number of individuals who want to ditch the ruling outfit, that is the UDA, because of one or two reasons. Because, you know, with respect to the Political Parties Act, if you want to resign from one party to another due to one or two reasons, then most probably you need to resign and seek the mandate of the electorate. So going forward, I'd like to see this body constituted, then of course perform its constitutional role and mandate of carrying out elections and also by elections.
Yeah. You know what, Wakili, when you look at the whole of this, so what, do you think we have a constitutional crisis? Having in mind that some constituencies have not had representation for quite some time, so now what happens? Can someone challenge that in court? Yes, we know there are different, you know, levels in governance. We have got MCAs, for example, Machakos has not had an MCA for some time, and different constituencies. So what happens? Will they go for a by-election, or how should they now handle this? That's the big question.
Yes. Ideally, when we look at the structure of governance and leadership in this country, when we have such a gap, it definitely spells out to a very huge constitutional crisis. It leaves a gap where a significant gap has been left, and people have not been represented. So when we speak into democracy, when we speak especially into what those grassroots leaders ought to represent the people, there is a very huge gap. And that is a constitutional crisis. And those are issues that, yes, should be addressed in court, because the fact that the IEBC was left in a vacuum for that long, it spells to a lot of crises in a country that is constantly fighting for democracy. A country that has a very good constitution, a very robust constitution, actually one of the very best. I will speak that the drafters of the constitution had the mental agility when they were drafting a very good constitution. However, when it comes to implementation, the managerial ability has been left in, is very questionable, and we can see it in such a long time when we have not had representation. When we look at, for instance, the social contract theory, I remember when I was studying law during my first years of school, the people surrender their rights to their elected leaders. And if there is that gap, then it shows clearly the kind of crisis there actually is. And this is something that we should actually have the court pronounce and declare itself for the future, so that we can avoid this kind of crisis. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Listening to the three Kenyans, patriots, let's come back to the person who should be now leading this position. You know, IEBC is also here, and the limitation of the boundaries ought to have taken place. We have got, you know, sensitization, voter registration. We have to clean up the register. We have to prepare for the next election. We have to start training all the personnel. It's a lot of work. Absolutely.
It's too much work. I think that, and the time frame we have is so short, because we have to 2027 is a very short time for the next election. And we have lots of work which has been piling. However, whoever comes into office, I look forward to a person who can have the courage to prioritize the urgent matters and give them work urgently, to also map out a way that things can be expeditiously done. And because we are not creating a new IEBC, we are not creating this body. We have the structures available. We have a lot of things available. So unless, I mean, since they are not going to create a new office, what we are going to have is people occupying an office that was there. but that has been dormant for some reason. I have hopes that whoever we get, if he is serious, can fast track things so that where we are having gaps, they are sorted, like acquisition of things, logistics, and sorting the current problems like pending by elections and all that. But I think it's going to be an extremely busy time for whoever is going to be there, because you'll be doing what should have been done in 2 years so far.
Yeah.
And then what should be done in the remaining time. So it's like being given 2 years to do what should take 5 years. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
What I hope is whoever we get will give him also the political will and support so that they can perform their duties. Because I do not think we have a problem of people, we have a problem of dishonoring what we already have outlined we need to do. We do not have a problem of structures. We do not have a problem of institutions, but our institutions are not usually given permission or authority or help to perform their duties well. So if we get a new person, I am very optimistic. Among these fellows, we should be able to get good Kenyans, because we are good people that can prioritize steering the country to proper governance now, especially around the IEBC. So it will be too much work, but since it is not work that is unknown, if it is prioritized, I think it should be doable. But it's going to be a tough job. Yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to ask you a question, and this one to all of you. What should you expect from the next chair? Because IEBC, over the years, we've had a lot of complaints and issues back and forth. Until now, we have the famous Cherera 4, right? DG, you are a direct beneficiary of an election, and you have what it takes, what it feels to have a good and competent electoral body, or even lack of it. Let's talk about that when we come back after this break. Stay with us. And welcome back. So I promised to ask this question to all of you. Who should we have as the next IEBC chair? DG, imagine you are the Nelson Makanda as the boss of that panel, and you want to pick an IEBC chairman. Who should you pick?
First and foremost, for anyone
Yes.
who has been pre-qualified to go and get interviewed, it means basically that person is qualified. Because there must have been a criteria. We want this as a candidate to be interviewed. So I think the first area they must have passed for them to appear in that list. Secondly, we need to emphasize on the Kenya Wood. Kenya Wood, I mean, allow me to give an example. We had one time Samuel Kiboitu, who presided over the 2002 elections. He was a Nero.
Yeah.
Okay? Then come 2007.
That was IEC.
Yes.
Yes.
Then come 2007. He became a villain instantly. So I will personally look at a leader, because you are going to lead an organization. Under it are departments. Under those departments are systems that are supposed to deliver credible and transparent election. Now, we are facing another problem and another serious challenge. There is this famous thing called the Nandiko report, which indicated some degree of concurrence between Azimio and this other group. Now, they have since come together. The two leaders have now come together. They are one. And we have another group which is trying to unseat them. Now, who do you consult in this case? So Kenyan politics continues, because From where we sit, the real Azimio is not seeing the team that has joined hands in a bread-based government.
Broad-based?
Sorry?
Broad-based?
Yes. You see, through NADCO, you know, there had to be some concurrence between the president and Raila Odinga.
Right.
By then, he was fully in Azimio. Little did we know he was on the other side negotiating other things.
Yeah.
Since he has already joined, and he was the one who was to be consulted in Azimio, now we are wondering who is going to be consulted, because you cannot have you have two teams which are going to play against each other, and you have one team that is going to produce Leismans and referees. So we have also another challenge that must also be addressed. Going forward, we need to get competent people who are going to put this country first when handling issues touching on elections. Let will of Kenyan people stand, irrespective of whether I'm a presidential candidate and my wife is the chair of the electoral body and my sons and daughters are commissioners. We want people who will deliver and respect the will of Kenyan people.
Why is the commission always so contentious? We have so many independent commissions in the country. So many of them, I can't even mention them offhand. But IEBC is always on the spot every year. Why so, DG? Still on you.
One time Churchill was a prime minister of Britain. He said when the matters of election came that those who vote don't count much, but those who count those votes count much and mean a lot. Now, that being the case, you can vote, but it can be turned the other way. I contested an election which ended into court. It is on record that in some area, giving an example, which is there and it is on record, that we had an, what do you call it, polling station somewhere in Yatta, where the registered voters were around 512. Those who voted were almost 500. Now, my opponent got 5 votes. I got the rest, but I ended getting 5. So who counts means a lot. That's why there is a lot of interest in IEBC, because it is going to give us, is going to be a referee who is going to produce who leads you as a president and a deputy president, who is going to lead you as a senator, who is going to lead you at county level and even parliamentary level. So it's very important. You might be given someone whom you did not vote for. And you remember, the law is such that once the presiding officer announces results, he or she has no authority to say, sorry, I've made a mistake. You have to go to court. It is another process altogether.
Yeah.
So it is very important to have a credible, qualified, and someone who has the country at heart. Because you cannot be, you are doing a good job when you are being praised for making sure somebody has gone through or is the country or has won, and not following the process, the due process. The due process is very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Thomas, your take on that?
Victor, we used to have a president by the name Vladimir Lenin, a one-time president in Russia. He once said that those who vote don't matter, but those who count a vote matter. Is that what's happening within our political landscape? I can say no, Victor, especially with the current constitutional dispensation,
Yes.
whereby we're told that that particular vote at the polling station is final. Going back to your question, I think history has recorded very clearly that the elections of 2007 were extremely mismanaged, and as a result of that, the country was plunged into chaos and anarchy. And the end result is that some individuals became candidates at the International Criminal Court of Justice for orchestrating the anarchy during that particular period. So I believe that we need a competent character to lead this body because these are crucial constitutional institution. For example, Chapter 6 of the Kenyan Constitution speaks it loud and clear about leadership and integrity. We need a character without questionable integrity, someone who will stand up to the task and just announce the particular results as from the polling station. Because I believe if the IEBC chair, for example, announces the particular result at the polling station, I don't really think whether we'll have chaos and anarchy. But now the greatest challenge and tragedy that we face as a country is that we have political players who try to shortchange others. The DG has mentioned here, you realize that at a given polling station, a given candidate even gets more votes than the registered voters. So we really need somebody with zero integrity issues to lead this body, because the slightest mistake will lead this country into a lot of chaos and anarchy. Yesterday, as I was at Nyayo National Stadium, I had hundreds of thousands of Kenyans chanting the anti-Ruto slogans that the head of state and also Raila must go. And now the question that I ask myself is, what is the nexus between football and politics? So this implies that Kenyans are extremely sick and tired about the leadership and also the regime of the day. And that implies that whoever is going to take up that noble role of leading this commission must be very, very much keen and careful to go as by the will of Kenyans and not the political class.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wakili, I'm not rooting for any lady to be in that position, but we've never had a female leading the commission ever since. But now we have got 3 ladies who have applied. One of them is Anna Madi, of course. I'll give you the rest. But then, for the sake of two-thirds gender rule and parity and all that, again, I say, we've not had that before. What do you think? Given a chance, do you think it's high time for that to happen?
Like the Honorable DG has mentioned, all the 11 candidates are very well qualified.
Yes.
And as a woman, and as a woman who actually fights for women, I would be very happy and excited to see a woman-led IEBC this time round. However, other than just focusing on the gender, which depends on the qualifications, other than focusing on the gender, it is important to place someone as the chair who will steer that committee, who will steer that commission with leadership skills. As the DG has mentioned, we had during the days of ECK, the Electoral Commission of Kenya, Kivuitu, who at one point he was a hero and at the other point he was a villain. We need someone who will be able to make very tough decisions, but decisions that will be made with the Kenya in mind. We need someone who is visionary, someone who is actually
what do you mean Kenya in mind? Because it seems that has been the statement.
Yes.
That I made a decision based on what Kenyans wanted.
Yes.
But then it turns out to say that the will of the people were not respected.
Was not respected.
Exactly.
That is very true, especially because of we understand and we appreciate our country being a politically instigated and politically driven country. If you look at so many issues in the country, you'll be able to read politics into it.
Yeah.
For instance, if I stand corrected, these are my personal views, but if you look at where we are right now as a country, we can as well agree that we are full into the 2027 campaign mode. If you can read them, if that is my opinion, but I read the mood as that we are actually ready for it. However, I believe that the person who should be chosen, irrespective of whether they are a woman or a man, they should be people who should be able to separate political interests and the interest of the country, because we have seen political chaos and political crises in this country before, which have mostly been instigated by what has happened with the final, where the backs IEBC chair and what has been told. So I believe that with the correct guidance, there are very many guidelines and how an IEBC chair and all the candidates are well qualified. Then we go to the integrity. We go to, like the Honorable DJ has said, whether your wife is the chair and your children or your relatives or your friends are the commissioners, we need to have someone who has the country in mind, knowing that with a single action, you can throw the country into a precipice. Yes.
Interesting. And Dr., you know, you've been here and you see how things unfold in this country. What has changed, or what do you think needs to change? You know, ever since independence to date, are we making strides in terms of our electoral practices, or how to uphold the integrity? Wakili says that Kenyans in mind. Again, there is that aspect of following the law as the chairperson of the, the commission. It's a very delicate balancing act for the chairperson in this case.
And not only the chair, our country has become, everybody knows what everyone must do. I find, I am a pastor, almost everybody knows how a pastor should behave. And they tell me what I need to do. I'm being a teacher. Everybody knows that the students know what a teacher should do. What I think we should get to is get a man or a woman who qualifies according to the correct guidelines given. But that person also should be a person with a backbone who can line and move with Kenyans, noisy as we are, because Kenyans are very noisy. Even when we are wrong, and also,
we'll force it to be right.
Yeah?
We'll force it to be right.
And we have also, we have too much information. I think the biggest problem with Kenya today is not that we are quite different, is that the phone has become our telephone, has become our news place, and also a producer of it.
Yes.
So there is going to be too much information, correct and right. So whoever it is needs to be a person who is like a person who is required to climb a tree with the thorns. So he needs to have a tough skin. But also Kenyans together, we also need to accept that a referee is supposed to oversee a game. And then have confidence in our referees. I think our biggest problem is we don't trust our referees. We believe them if they say.
Why do you think we don't trust our referees?
That's Kenya. We are very pessimistic at the moment.
Could it be because of the past experiences?
Some of it, yes. And I think some of it is because of past experiences. Whether those experiences were necessarily right or wrong also. Because if we believe you are wrong, like for example, I listened to Kivoito's case. I was very keen to follow that bit. And I find one of the biggest problems with Kivoito was he should have shut up sometimes, but he spoke wrong things. For example, when he says, I don't know what is going on. I don't know whether they are cooking votes. That statement should not come from the person who is the referee. That person, that should come from somebody else. You know, I think Kivoito spoke things he should not have spoken and threw the country into a mess. I'm not saying that was not happening, but the wrong person was speaking. The person who should give us confidence took away the confidence from him. And And so I think whoever we get should be a person who is going to be sober in times when it is tough, when people are making a noise, and he will not say, these are more noisier than these ones, therefore I should, be safe.
Yes.
So that's the kind of a person I'm looking for, somebody with a strong character that can go through tough times. Because what we are going to have the next person into is an extremely tough times, probably tougher than the other times.
Yeah.
First of all, because the landscape is so different. We do not know whether we have a opposition and government, everything is together, and that's where we are going. The competitions, we don't know how they're going to look like, but this is Kenya. We've been there before. So whoever it is must have the personal courage to steer the country into credible elections, believable ones, and it must be one that is not going to be told what to say, but one who will get the results that we are giving and pronounce himself based on the will of the people, not based on who is saying what. So that's what we are looking forward to. But I also pray we will have a way of getting Kenyans to begin believing the referees. Because one of the major problems of our country is we want our person. So if we get a person from where I come from, and I want to be in that election, the rest of the country will be thinking that person will be more towards me, because we are thinking mutu wetu, which is a big problem in our country. So whoever it is that will come there must have the personal strength to go against the current, but stay focused on the stated regulations, structures, rules, and then give us results.
DJ, when you talk about, you've heard what he said, I mean, quite profound. When you look at constitutionality and the history of this country, if you combine the two, what do you see as a leader who's faced elections numerous times?
Allow me to say the following in support of what my lordship, the bishop, has said. On top of the kind of person who is being described here as the either commissioner or chair of IEBC, I think other institutions need also to play their part. Because I wonder what kind of business politicians in Kenya do to warrant this continuous donation of millions into some places. And we have agencies in this country that cannot publish and say, Mwangangi, in the last 1 month, you have contributed 2 million. We know your salary is $500,000. Please, what other business are you doing, and how much tax have you paid? Those those kind of things. But we have institutions financed by Kenyan people through tax paying who are not doing their job. Equally, for the IEBC to succeed, we need to comply with Chapter 6. It is not the business of IEBC to policy Kenyans to ensure we comply with Chapter 6 of our Constitution. But there is another agency that ensures we comply. The issue of constitutionalism is very important, because if we do the right thing, we will be abiding by the law. And that is what constitutionalism is all about. Finally, we need all the agencies to do what they need to do. Kenyans, we need to comply with our constitution. In the event there is an aspect that we feel in this constitution we do not want. We have our parliament, national parliament, and where there is where we need a referendum, we can do a petition to the parliament, and that referendum will be brought. Majority of Kenyans will vote for it or reject. So we need to adhere. We need rule of law in this country for everybody. Not today we say there are no Harambes, and tomorrow you are the one leading. Now, what are you telling Kenyans? We need to respect what comes out of judiciary, whether we like it or not. If I'm supposed to be in a committee, please go there. To submit yourself, because that is where the law dictates you to be. Don't just you comply with what you think is good for you, and that which is bad for you, you appear not to like it.
Yeah.
We have seen government of Kenya disobeying some decisions of the court. We have seen senior public officers and state officers defy decisions of the court. That is a fragile country where such things happen. That is a country that is not functioning constitutionally, where those kind of things do happen. We do not want a country where we are living like the animal farm style of living, where, you know, Mandela once said, upon release from prison, he stayed, and then he was invited to New York. You know, he had been classified as a terrorist. So the then president had to lift that ban for him to travel to US. So in one of the engagements with the scholars, leaders, and students, he said, any leader who changes depending on who he or she is dealing with, that is not a person who can lead a country. In this country, we have some people who, because they are powerful, they decide to do that which they like, which benefits them, which pleases them, and when something is opposite, they do not. We have seen it. So we want for IEBC to succeed, because I don't want to get out of the topic. For IEBC to succeed, constitutionalism is very important. Sticking to the rule of law is very important. Institutions, whether independent or not, executing their mandate without looking the other side when it is not when it is touching somebody powerful. I think we will cause
that is now political goodwill.
We have seen
that is political goodwill, DJ,
yes,
because you know they might need to follow the constitution, but the political class will have a say at some point in that commission,
because it is a political process.
Then
that's why you are seeing.
Then why is it independent if it's a political process and they have got interference for the political class?
The fact that it's a political process does not mean we throw our constitution through the window. We need to stick by that.
I agree.
That's why Kivuitu had to do what he had to do against a sitting government in 2002 and stick to Kenyans' will. Okay? That's what we are saying. I'm looking a day when Commissioner General will write to somebody somewhere's top to say, the millions we are donating, we are not seeing equivalent in tax returns. And if that is not complied with, you tell Kenyans and go.
But you see, it's a very thin line between what commissioner would say or the chairperson would say, I'm following the will of the people, and I'm following the law. There's a very thin line. I mean...
See, Olo, Victor, we were here when a senior officer in IEBC was killed somewhere, and alongside there was a lady to make sure we painted him as immoral. Yet we knew people could suspect what was going on.
That was some sound to be precise.
Now, how even do you want the chairman to be independent, to respect Kenyan Kenyans' views when your security is not guaranteed. That's why I'm talking about constitutionalism, adhering to rule of law, and we respect the constitution that made me to be deputy governor, to be elected a deputy governor in this country, in the county of Machakos in Kenya. So in this case, when we are not practicing constitutionalism, when we are not adhering to what is coming out of our judiciary, when we are not respecting institutions that are supposed to be doing certain rules, certain roles in this country, then we are not going to the right direction. And finally, for IEBC to succeed, for the chairman and commissioners to perform their tasks, there are also other agencies which should aid in ensuring their success.
Let's take a break. Okay. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. So our lines will be on. I'll also need to hear from you as a Kenyan. We are all a product of the election, and of course the interviews we're going to kick off this morning at around in the next 30 or so minutes at the Kenya School of Government, where different individuals will be facing the panel to pick the next IEBC chairperson, and of course now the subsequent commission in general. So let me get to hear from you as a Kenyan. Who do you think should be the commissioner, the kind of characteristics? What do you think should be the qualification of that particular person? We've had our history in the past as a country, and so what do you think? Let me get to hear from you. Our number is 0716 10 3301. 0716 10 3301. Let me hear from you from whichever part of the country or even across you're watching us from. We are having that commission. The panel sitting today and starting their interviews. Thomas, let me start with you. When the same question I asked DG, history and constitutionalism. These things are like, Siamese twins. I mean, identical twins. You cannot separate each of them. But there's a very thin line between of them. You can separate them if you want.
You see, as my friend mentioned, history has recorded that what an incompetent IEBC chair can do to a country.
Yes.
A case in example in 2007, where the greatest man of God has said that the then ECK chairperson, that was the late Samuel Kivuitu, could be questioned about who had won that particular elections, and his response was that I don't know. You can imagine Victor, the kind of damage that can cause to a country. So in as far as the selection panel is beginning its noble duty today, I expect them to come up with a competent character who will not be swayed by the political class. Someone, either a lady or a gentleman, who will remain firm and make a noble decision. This is not it's not an easy job, Victor, as it may seem. We have the provisions within the constitutional sanctum indicating the qualifications that you must have this, must have that.
Yeah.
But now the main job will be when this person will be making decisions. Sometimes we are forced to make tough decisions. Like, for example, in the last elections, I remember as a political scientist, I had come up with a theory of a constitutional renaissance, especially within the African continent, whereby I believed that elections are won at the ballot and not by the bullet. And I advised various political players, including our long-term political opposition figurehead, Raila Odinga. And I sent them, the message that I sent to him was that he really needed to work extremely hard. Because I believed, as they were saying, that he had the deep state, he had the government on his side, and he forgot about campaigning. Then when the election day came, he was defeated by a margin of 234,000. And the late IEBC chair, Wafula Chebukati, was forced to make a very tough decision of announcing William Ruto, whom I believe had actually won against a backdrop of accusations of rigging. I never believed there was rigging. So I believe that the next IEBC chair must be someone who makes tough decisions,
yes,
and sticks to the rule of law. That's the baseline. Sticking to the rule of law. Again, even if there's a lot of pressure from the political class, from hooliganisms, from other players, we need someone who will stick to the rule of law and give Kenyans what they really want. Because, it will not make any sense, Victor, that someone is pressured, maybe by the political players from above, and giving results that don't really add up.
Yeah.
So I really need someone the country needs someone with a lot of integrity and with zero integrity issues. Yeah.
Okay. I need to make a correction. It's at the Edge Convention Center, College of Insurance, not Kenya School of Government.
Kenya School of Government.
Yes, Kenya's College of Insurance, Edge Convention Center. I take that correction. So now, Wakili, when you look at the whole of this, I mean, Kenyans are so eager to get it going.
Yes.
I mean, you can imagine not having that commission for close to 2 years. Also, to pick it from where Bishop said, that is like going to force that commission to do a job which was supposed to be spread on, 5 years. But now you're put under pressure to do it within a span of
2 years.
2 years. Actually, because now you have to start the cleaning of the register, you have to do another voter registration exercise, you have to start, it's a lot of work. The limitation of the budget process and all that.
Yes.
I mean, look at that. And then you're also having Wanjiku here. So we have the commission, we have the political class, and we have got Wanjiku. Please bring these 3 people for me in the same basket. And can you imagine what's now running through their mind?
Yes.
The commission, the political class, and now the Wanjiku.
Yes. Fortunately or unfortunately, this selection of the IEBC commission and the chair comes at a very, very delicate point in time,
yes,
politically speaking, because as we have seen, we have now a very bread-based government,
yes,
which if we go back, we have seen what it's actually doing to the country. After the Gen Z protest last year in June, we had a promise and undertaking from His Excellency the President that we would witness a lean government. But thanks to this broad-based government arrangement, now we have seen creation of extra offices. You see, and this speaks directly to what the taxpayers' money where the taxpayers' money will go. While it might actually do something for the stability of the country, what exactly does it mean to the fight for having those Gen Zs at the time and even now putting presence in the resistance?
Yeah.
Because now politically we are at a very, very, very critical moment because there's what's happening. The ground is somewhat resisting. Maybe with a few appointments I've seen other parts of the country accept the broad-based government. Then there's a very tough resistance on other parts of the country, and it's very significant. We see like now the President, His Excellency the President, is planning to do a tour of the Mount Kenya, and there's already some bit of resistance. He's told, if you come to Mount Kenya, please do not talk to us about how happy you are with the broad-based arrangement. If you come here, do not talk to us about the developments because we've not seen any. The trucks and the constructions and the contractors left as soon as you left. He has been told, if you come to Mount Kenya, please avoid talking about the Gen Zs and all that. So the political temperatures in the country as it is pretty high,
yes,
and does not accommodate the kind of changes that we are seeing in the country. However, we can see what a vacuum in the IEBC has done. We're already seeing a situation where there has been delay in disbursements in the counties, and what does that mean for us in terms of development? What has it done to our development? The Honorable DG here can tell us what it actually spells down to. And I was particularly impressed last evening by NCCK, who are very, very clear on the issue of, what they will allow in church and what they will not allow. I was happy when I saw that the Archbishop of the ACK Church was actually very strict and made sure that no one could stand at the pulpit at the home county of the former deputy.
Right. Let's pick a call from a gentleman, Ahmed from Garissa County. Somebody's already calling. Oh. Ahmed, good morning. Hello. Okay, we'll get back to that shortly. Continue.
Yeah, so when we look at Wanjiko, and this is a very solid voice, Wanjiko has put their presence in the resistance in most of the things that are happening in the country. The political class, on the other hand, is on a full-blown campaign mode, and that is some years before we actually go into the elections. Then now we have the pressure of having a very, very competent chair to lead the IEBC. Considering all the gaps that there have been, considering the crisis that we have, been able to witness, I believe that we should be in a position to. To see what the IEBC will do in the days to come.
All right. Yes. Let's take another call. Jacqueline from Quisero, that should be in Western Kenya. Jacqueline, good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana. What's your question or comment?
My comment is,
yes.
Ningelipenda wachague mtu ambaye anaangalia mwananchi. Hello.
Yes, nakusikia, endelea.
Mtu ambaye anamwangalia mwananchi.
Oh, that is Jacqueline from Quisero. She's talked about whoever is going to take care of the needs of Mwananchi. That's what we're talking about, the will of the people. Yes. Basically, that's what you said. You want to say something on that, Wakili?
Yes,
okay,
I'd love to weigh my opinion into that.
Yes.
That is exactly what we should do, because that is why we have the structure as it is. We need to have someone who has the mind of the Kenyans and the goodwill of the country, and separate themselves from the political influence.
Yes.
Because if they go by the political influence, then we are not looking at a very good place right now. If we look at a neighboring country here in Sudan, the civil war there is nothing to actually write home about. There's nothing good about it.
I think Ahmed is back from Garissa.
All right.
Ahmed, good morning. Hello, good morning. Ahmed. Okay, we've lost Ahmed. Okay, you're with the final round for sure now.
All right, not a problem. Yeah, so if we take a very good look at what a crisis would actually throw us into, our neighbors here in Sudan, we have millions, I think about over 8 million people that have been internally displaced. We have about over 3.5 million that have actually fled the country as refugees, and we have thousands of people that have lost their lives.
Yeah.
When we are staring at a crisis and chaos that could be caused by incompetent and politically driven mechanisms, then it will be enough inspiration for the person who is sitting next in that position to make the right choices, tough as they are, but have the Kenyans at mind and the goodwill of the entire country.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Levis from Athi River, good morning.
Good morning too.
Karibu sana. What is your comment or contribution?
Mimi nataka kusema hivi.
Yes.
Kitu ya kwanza, wa Kenya nitakana wakubali kuwa IEBC lazima iundwe. Ili Kenya iweze kusonga mbele. Tusilalamike sana kwa kusema ati sijui muda ni mfupi au kazi ni mingi. Kwa sababu wakati tuna delay ndio vile vile kasi inaendelea kuwa mingi. Na Kenya tunataka tu mtu ambaye atakuwa amechaguliwa kuwa chairman wa IEBC awe mtu ambaye anaongea kama Mkenya, asiongee kama party fulani ndio inamweka pale. Awe mtu ambaye ule atashinda uchaguzi awe ameshinda, ule ameshindwa akubali kuwa ameshindwa. Tuache mambo ya kila wakati after election vita zinakuwa, watu wanachukiana. Hiyo mambo tuachane nayo, tukae kama Wakenya. Na tena watu wakubali kuwa rais atembee Kenya mzima, si ati kuna mahali na wanaona kama hao wako juu ya rais. Kenya mnyote ni sisi wote ni Wakenya wote. Mungu ambariki na Mungu amtetee mema. Huyu ni Lady Shimeme kutoka Athi River.
Asante sana. Athi River is in Machakos County. Your deputy governor is here. He's spoken about what actually we'll be talking about. Someone political interference, Daktari. And the same question I asked, the constitutionality and political interference, because he said he should not be speaking as if he was sent there by a political party or a particular individual to represent certain interest.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that even the name itself,
yes,
it is independent. As soon as we get whoever it is, whether he and the support of anybody before, he should be the person who will not belong anywhere after that. He will be independent of the political parties, he will be independent of his location, he will be independent of interference from other people.
Yes.
That's the person, that's what I expect the person who gets that position to become. However, whoever it is, we realize is not going to work in a vacuum. He is coming to referee either people who came with stones to the game,
right,
to stone who does not give them the victory, whether they won or they did not. He will be overseeing people who came lending with only one position. It's either I win or I win. And if I don't win, whoever declares I've not won is wrong. I'm saying this is where we are. It's not a vacuum. It's a country that has strange behaviors. That's why I agree very much with Honorable, my brother here, Governor, that it is not the job of the chairman.
Yeah.
It's going to involve the other organs also of leadership and governance, so that he's going to need the police, he's going to need everyone else. He's going to need the parliament, he's going to need the support of very many.
Yeah.
However, because he's not going to be leading some angels that live in Kenya, he's going to lead the Kenyans we know, so that you can have a very good person leading a pack of thugs who are going to be messing. I say this because I've been a leader in this country, and sometimes I have very good intentions to do the right thing. But I can tell whether, even when I've done the best, some crook somewhere touched something and another crook somewhere touched something, but I do not have evidence. But I can tell somebody there messed, somebody else messed. So this person needs to be supported.
Okay.
Because
Another caller? Another call. Let me just take this call. Wambua, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How is Machakos? Your deputy governor is here, and I want you to ask him a question directly. Is he here?
I want to give a word on the issue that you are discussing today.
Yes.
That today, whatever we are talking is a commitment which should be independent. Hello?
Yes. Continue.
Yes. And whoever will get the chairmanship will be independent regardless of the person they support or they supported before. Because that is the Kenya that we want. I also want to congratulate my deputy governor on his gravity on the issue of the commission that we want in Kenya today. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Your flowers from Machakos. Some flowers from Machakos County. Now that call has been directed to you, so what do you think? I mean, when you look at the whole scenario now, there's another issue of funding. When IEBC appeared before the Senate, they say that they needed around 56 billion shillings to run the election. Now, that's a lot of money. But again, we also appreciate that technology has gone up. They need to acquire more kits, train, and a lot of things must happen between now and election. Let's talk about funding, which is a very big issue here. What do you think?
There is something I want to share with the Kenyans. We have a parliament that has 2 chambers, Senate and National Assembly.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time going to discuss money matters in Senate. It's as simple as that. It is the law.
Really?
Ask the good lawyer, will tell you. Money matters lie in National Assembly. That is the law. There is very little you can do. When you go to Senate, maybe you are going to answer questions about how much is being allocated to counties, or how much the counties are misappropriated or done well, those kind of things. But when it comes to allocation of funds, remember, even the division of those monies originate from the National Assembly.
Yes.
Whatever they pass, from devolution, the day devolution started, that is what goes to CRA, that is what finds its way to Senate. So I think I'm seeing an anomaly for IEBC.
Just pause.
Then
Just pause. Take a call from Dan, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Dan from Nairobi. Dan, good morning. Hello? Tumempoteza. All right.
Thank you. So I think simply, we have seen elsewhere around the globe that we can have an election from 8 a.m. and by the time 1 minute past 5 p.m., we know who is our MCA, we know who is our president, and we know who is our MP, and we know who is our governor. It is doable with the technology and not as expensive as we procure things in Kenya. It can be done, it has been done elsewhere, and that is what we need to do. Efficiency. We do not want to have the Rakanitis of this world, the way we witnessed in 2007. All we need is a transparent process, a transparent system, a transparent way of doing things, so that we get the right leaders. In Kenya, it is the money that counts. I can tell you for sure. And that's why you are seeing huge donations in churches, yet our hospitals lack drugs. Huge allocations of top offices, yet Kenya is lacking critical infrastructures that can aid in economic transformation. So it is doable. We fix election in this country and we will fix almost 90% of our problems, because we will have the right people in the right places making policies that are pro-people, policies that are for pro-growth.
Wakili, what do you say about that? I'm intentional.
Yes.
Okay, just before that, Njuguna from Oloi Talk. Okay. Njuguna, good morning.
Tumekuwa kwa hivi tukiana bado at least 40 years, kwa sababu future ni yao na Kenya ni yao. At least wale watu ambao watakai nchini. On the other issue ni kwamba katika hii IEBC sasa tumeona hii group-based government wameenda upande moja, na ni wao wanajirecommend wasereki. Je, wale ambao wanajihisi wako kwa broad-based government watajihisi namna gani? Na ile medical report ilikuwa imependekeza wakubaliane, lakini kwa saa hii wako upande moja. Hao wengine nao watakuwa wapi?
Asante sana. That is from Oloitoktok. Wakili, umesikia?
Nimemsikia
Mkenya
sana.
ameongea.
Mkenya ameongea na nimemsikia.
What do you make of that comment?
Well, actually, given what the caller from Oloitoktok has said,
Yes.
if we could have programs that will actually emanate from the broad-based arrangement, programs that are actually going to address the cost of living and the quality of life for every other Kenyan, not just selected few, programs that are going to address the access to health care, programs that are going to address the question of abduction and missing persons and extrajudicial killings, then we will say that something good came out of this broad-based arrangement.
Yes.
However, if we continue seeing just it being a political calculated move to ensure that election in 2027 will go a particular way, then we completely lose the plot as Kenyans.
Yeah.
And as I had mentioned earlier, I think when everybody independently does what it ought to do, the country will move forward. And it will move forward to the right direction. Case in point, what NCCK did yesterday, if only that can be done, not just now and forgotten after a few months, because Kenyans forget very fast, if it can be actually a matter of principle that no politics should be done in church at the pulpit, no donations should be announced as a fanfare in church, then I think we will cure so many things. If the NCCK does their work, the parliament does their work independently, the Senate, the judiciary, the IEBC, the Auditor General, everybody, I think we'll be able to see a country that's actually progressing, and that is what democracy is all about, growth.
Okay, let's take a break and we come back. I still want to circle back because that is supposed to be beginning anytime from now. It's now 8:30, it's just waiting for their signal, but then now we're taking a break. All right, those are live pictures from the College of Insurance, just waiting for them to settle. And once you get that signal steady and ready to go, then of course we'll just cross over there. That is a live feed from the College of Insurance. Okay, let's take a break. But how about we take a look at what's the weather forecast of? So as before you took a break, you gave me that link that's from the College of Insurance. All right, so anytime from now, we'll be going to that location so that we can have the panel sitting and starting their interviews. Let me get, if you can, 30 seconds each, because I have only 1 minute to wind up, then we go there. Let me start with you, Bishop, so that your final word, kindly.
I would say Kenyans are not at a bad place as we feel. We are at a good place. It could have been worse. We are not fighting. We are not closed. We should be hopeful that with a steering team, we will be where we want to be.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Wakili?
Today, as we witness the selection of the IEBC chair, we will be looking to see what they will come up with. And today is the IEBC. In 2027, it will be the Kenyans and the representation they will make. I want to speak to the Kenyans. You are a very educated and a very enlightened lot, like we were discussing earlier on. Make the right choice. Let your voice be heard at the ballot, because it's that voice that will dictate how the rest of the next 5 years will be. Thank you.
Yes, Thomas.
Victor, you see, the greatest challenge that we're facing as a country is the problem of political hygiene. You see, we are told that the political class is now united, and now they are united to save the country from a political precipice. But a few months ago, before the fall in Addis, no one was talking about this unit of purpose. I was expecting my teacher of political science, that's Professor Peter Nyang'nyong'o, to be steering that unit of purpose even before Baba lost. But now Baba has lost, and it's now that they are talking about this particular unit of purpose. The good thing is that we have a knowledgeable citizenry. Our Kenyans, the great people of Kenya, know what's expected of their leaders, and they are taking up that noble role of advising the government to work for us. Kenyans are really reeling from tough economic times. We are hanging from tough from tough economic times. And I really think that our political class need to work for us and deliver to Kenyans. That's my message.
All right.
Victor.
DJ, final words?
First, I thank Almighty God and that His Holiness, the Pope, is out of danger and out of hospital. That's good news for I as a Christian. Number two, the interviewing panelists, please do Kenya justice. Get us people who will ensure by the start of the 4th at 8 and by the time ends at 5, by 5:01 p.m. we know who is the president, we know who is anybody, any of these leaders who will be vying, we know who has won. And that will fix many of our challenges. I think Kenyans, that is what they are looking for. Someone who will put this country first beyond his or our own personal interests. And we want, it is through that process, I'm sure transparency, accountability will be seen. Anything short of that will not be doing this country justice and fairness. Finally, devolution. ODM has been known for many years as the advocates of devolution. Devolution upwards, that is leading us, that has brought a lot of suffering to this country. Devolution, real decentralization should be downwards, followed by and monies to do those functions.
And that's why the county bosses said that they need more money to the counties.
And so many functions are still with the national government. So many funds are still with the national government. We have ministries that are performing duties that are executed by the counties.
So if that
equally, even the little that is coming down to counties is getting so much delayed. And once they intend to, when they know it, they will take another 1 month to send that. I think that is not the devolution that was anticipated in our constitution.
Allow us to wrap it up at that point. Thank you so much for joining at the right time. We are now getting ready for that live link. Of course, going to be a public affair, getting the news. Sitting today and facing the panel will be that is former judge, Court of Justice, that is Charles Nyachai, former Chief Registrar of the Chief Magistrate Abdul Khadir Lorot Ramadan and Edward Kat, who are going to be facing the Nelson Makanda today. And of course, Ngewa has been identified as a person living with disabilities. So four people are going to face the panel starting now until later in the afternoon, around 4 p.m. All right, that is where we wrap it up. Thank you so much, gentlemen and lady, for joining me. Of course, we'll be here once we have all of this set up for you so that we can tell Kenyans on what is happening. Deputy Governor of Machakos, Francis Mwangangi, asante sana for coming. Thomas Omao, governance expert, asante sana. Wairimu Gatacha, who is an advocate of the High Court, asante for coming. And of course, Bishop Gitari also joining me on set. Thank you so much. Let's go and watch how it's going to be. Thank you for watching. My name is Victor Lo. Straight to the College of Insurance for that interview.